So it is currently almost 3:30 a.m. my time, and I am doing hostage video number two as I explain what it was like to watch Donald Trump's speech in Iowa. I he so I'm amazed that it's less than an hour. I actually posted on something earlier about what's the over under of 70 minutes because I thought 70 minutes is where he's going to go. And literally everybody said over. So we all lost that bet because I actually was thinking over too. Anyhow, um, I don't want this to be a long video, so let me try to get there. So I had to turn off the RSBN network because I can only see so many ivermectin commercials. Um, I watched him roam around the Machine Shed restaurant in Des Moines. And the most interesting thing to me, the fact I'm slurring my words is not because I'm drunk, it's because I haven't been talking. Um, Watching him roam around the Machine Shed restaurant in Des Moines, the most interesting thing was who was not there. Joni Ernst, Chuck Grassley, I can kind of get. They might have some Senate duties. Kim Reynolds, I didn't expect her to be there because she endorsed DeSantis, although he did later in the speech give a shout out to her. So she was apparently somewhere in the building, but nowhere with him before entering the building. Let that go. Ashley Hinson was the first person to speak, um, but she was not the final one to introduce him. Yeah, it's the first time for me to hear her live, and I was genuinely shocked because I've been away from Iowa for so long. I don't remember her as an anchor. I don't. I but she was really bad at it. When you're giving a speech and you have to say to the crowd, blah blah blah, laugh line or applause line, what do you think of that? And you have to do that for every applause line you do. That is not a good way to give a speech. It reminded me in 2015, Jeb Bush realized his campaign was dying and he was giving a speech and he gave applause line after applause line after applause line and nobody responded to them. And so he eventually said, "Please clap." And yeah, uh, Jeb, on behalf of everybody I know, we wish you had won in 2016. If it was Trump, or you, we wish we had you. Okay, keep going, Steve. Okay, then Zach Dunn was up, and he is much better at crowd work than Ashley is. So, my question to Iowa Republicans is, why is Ashley your nominee for governor for Senate? Zach is way better than her. Anyhow, it was fascinating to me that there was nobody else who spoke, and they didn't have anybody like speak as Trump's walking up to hug him. Like, anyhow, usually you save the final person speaking to be the person that comes up and hugs the president. I was with Harkin in '96, where the night before the election in '96. I've been to many of these things. You have anyhow. Just it was weird to me. Trump walked in alone to um, Eye of the Tiger. He walked in Eye of the Tiger. Okay, so no other congressional candidate or candidates were giving him a minute of screen time. The only person of color I saw, the only people of color I saw, there's more than one. The only people of color I saw were Secret Service. I don't know why. I know Iowa's really white, and I know Republican is really white, but like, really, you couldn't. Really? Really? Okay, okay. Let it go, Steve. Yeah, yeah. So he came to the podium with the song Proud to be an American. Um, so he opened with the normal brags and he made a reference to running again in 2028. Um, He is bragging about being the first Republican to win the popular vote in decades. So I am extremely upset with Joe Biden because, you know, Trump's admitting that he didn't win the popular vote in 2016 or 2020, but he did win the popular vote in 2024 and he's president. So, Joe Biden, what did you do wrong that you allowed him to win the popular vote and win the electoral college? I am very angry at you, Joe Biden. He did most of his impromptu speaking was shout outs to John Deere. Like he talked in the first 30 minutes, he gave I had 10 shout outs to John Deere, which was interesting. He is bragging to the crowd about how John Deere stock price has gone up. Meanwhile, John Deere in Iowa has laid off 2,000 people. And it was before Trump became president, but I mean, they haven't really hired a whole lot of people since then. But I mean, really, you're bragging about John Deere. Okay, okay. Um, he had so many unbelievable statements about the economy. I'm not going to fact check them because yeah, I I will lose my mind if I try. Anyhow, but the single greatest thing he's claiming credit for is that he is the reason why policemen, firemen, and military are all having the greatest recruitment years ever. So, as many of you know, I have an adopted son, Adnan, who recently became a policeman in New York City. So, Adnan, I want you to know that you owe Donald Trump all credit for you becoming part of NYPD. If you ever say anything other than that, he'll send you back. Well, actually, you have the American passport. Where can he send you back? Anyhow, let it go, Steve. Let it go. Let it go. So he then goes on to bragging about laying off federal workers and removing regulations on diesel fuel. So I grew up on a farm, and I had no idea that diesel fuel was actually regulated before. Like, I've inhaled enough diesel fumes. Ugh, ugh. Anyhow, he moved on to bashing EVs and then praised ethanol. Now, I know enough about energy issues and I am a trained economist, so that just made my head want to explode. Um, he then gave a shout out to his ear boo boo wherever anyhow he gave a shout out to that and that was the first time he got the crowd chanting USA USA. I was keeping a ticker down below because I thought he'd do something to make it a greatest hits. There was only one more. So two USA chants of all time. He then went on to that he got all nations to agree to give the United States the cheapest drugs. It's the biggest price reduction in history of drugs. Not remotely true. You can say it's 1,000% reduction. No, Mr. President. I know somehow or another you have a MBA from a phenomenal school, but there is no such thing as 1,000% reduction. I am sorry to be the one to tell you this, and I can't believe you don't have any aide who's ever told you that. He then went on a weird thing of trying to suck Farmer Dick. There's no other way I can say it. As I was listening to it, I was like, I'm glad my father died before Trump became president, but I wish Dad were with me to watch this part of the speech because it was incredible. The bottom line is that Donald Trump wants all farmers to know that he's giving you all another $12 billion dollars. So you have to love him because he's giving you 12 billion more dollars on top of 16 billion that he gave you in his first term. So you must love him. Must. He then did a paid agitators cliche because, to Republicans, all Democrats receive a check from Soros. That's just their thing. More than it was more than 30. minutes in before he did a shout out to bash transgender, which he only did one shout out to that. Good, good. Only one. Yeah, anyhow, um, he then talked about how he cured bird flu. So the reason that Iowans can now buy eggs is because Donald Trump cured bird flu. And now he is upset because Democrats have brought up the term affordability. The term affordability was something that was never even heard of before, but now they bring it up, and now it's a term they're using, and they don't even know that I'm the one that brought all prices down. So they're using affordability as a derogative term, but he didn't use the word derogative. It's way above his English. Anyhow, sorry. They're using affordability as a way to bash me, but by the time the election comes around in November, they're going to regret that because I'm the one who brought down prices. So in every political speech, you have to do call outs to all elected officials in the room. It's just, I've been to 1,000 of these things. It's just a rule. It was interesting that the biggest shout out he gave was to um, Brad Zahn, who was the Senate president in Iowa, who made it clear that he became a Trump supporter thanks to Laura Ingraham turning him on to Trump on Fox News. He went on to bash Jerome Powell. Unfortunately, our adult leader does not remember that he was the one who appointed Jerome Powell to be the chair of the Federal Reserve. That was the single best appointment Donald Trump had in his first term. Hands down. Jerome Powell has been a fantastic chair of the Federal Reserve. So, to all you, no one's going to watch this anyhow, to anybody who thinks that I am just a lefty that doesn't know anything I'm talking about because I'm just have Trump derangement syndrome. No, Donald Trump made a fantastic appointment in his first term, and his name was Jerome Powell. For whatever reason, Trump can't take credit for it and still appreciate him. Ugh. He went on to some Muslim bashing, which is weird because when Trump visited this region, uh, Saudi Arabia actually created a mobile McDonald's unit to follow Trump where he went in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia so he could have McDonald's anytime he wanted. And Qatar gave him a plane. So, really? Bash Muslims? Hmm. Um, I messed up. I know I missed something above. I have to go back. I have to go back. Because he did bring two women to the stage that he brought women to the stage because he wanted to call out the fact that he has eliminated tax on tips. And so he brought up two women. Um, this will be a shocker to you. The one he called out first was a buxom blonde woman who has not fake blonde to be clear, and she has not done her roots for a very long time. So from here down to here, black roots, blonde below. Anyhow, wish her well. Wish all people who are not getting taxed on tips well, but it was weird to me. Okay. Um, so he with the bad poll numbers, he then went on a long tirade on polls, and he had to resort to discussing Rasmussen polls. According to Rasmussen, no Democrat running for president in this century should have been elected. So, it is the most Republican biased polls out there. Let that go. But Trump had to, in front of this crowd, come along and say, you know, Iowa used to be a Democrat state, but until when I came, it became a Republican state. Crowd erupts. Ooh, okay. Um, no, I hate to break it to you, President Trump. We were moving that way earlier. That's how Joni Ernst became our senator in 2014. It had really nothing to do with you at all. But you want to take credit for it? I go on to you. Um, so he left the stage after 1 hour dancing off to YMCA, and again he had to do the weird, uh, like, yeah, yeah. I have stood in front of at least 10,000 students in my time teaching. There is no world where I've ever stood in front of students doing this motion. Ever. That's a good place to end this video.